It's such a pleasure for me to be here. This morning I had a pleasure of speaking to a group of women executives and women leaders in the telecom industry, and it is really my pleasure to address you today. I'm the Lieutenant Governor for the state of Hawaii, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my backstory. I was born in South Korea, and I came to the United States, to the state of Hawaii, when I was just 9 years old. And when I came to the state of Hawaii, I could not speak a word of English. And so I had two teachers. So I came in May of 1977, and I had basically two teachers. One of them was my father. And my father, what he did was during the summer months, he basically taped letters and drawing all around the house. So it would be a letter A with a corresponding apple, or it would be a B with something else, and it would be taped all around the house. So I would go to the bathroom, and there would be an A and an apple. And then, so that was one of the teachers. The second teacher was Sesame Street. And so based on Sesame Street, a lot of the words that you learn in English, I thought was English, I learned. And then so the first day of school comes in September of 1977, and I go to school, and I'm thinking people are gonna talk about Mikasa and Sukasa, and little did I know that Sesame Street wasn't just teaching English, it was also teaching Spanish. And so all my concept and reality just went haywire because no one was talking about, okay, agua and Mikasa. And I had this terrific teacher who said, instead of sending you to an ESL class, I'm gonna sit you down with me every day because you're gonna have a better time learning English with me, instead of sending you to a classroom with a bunch of kids. The reason why I'm telling you this is because from when I just came to shore in the state of Hawaii, people have shown me such aloha and such compassion. People who did not even know me helped me in great ways that shaped my life. And I have spent the last 25 years giving back to a state that gave me so much. Oh, thank you. And the other reason why I tell you about my backstory is the work that you folks do is so important in the communities that are of immigrant descent and the disadvantaged, because it is about connectivity, and connectivity is a great equalizer. What we have learned during COVID is Hawaii is even more isolated than we initially thought. So in the state of Hawaii, as being so separated from the mainland states, and in fact, the shortest point between us and the next state is about 5 hours away. So it takes about 5 hours to get to California, and it takes 5 hours to get to the most southern point of California. And that's the isolation that we felt during COVID is something that became a reality. And when we went through virtual learning, remote work, healthcare, online healthcare, it made us realize even more how important broadband and connectivity was. And thanks to the federal government, all the states are realizing how broadband and connectivity and resilient broadband service is not just a nice to have, but it's a must have, it's a utility. And it's this realization that many of you have known for decades, and finally, the various government, whether it's the federal government, state government, or on the county side, we're beginning to realize this is a necessity that we are dependent on. Some of you folks know the unique nature of the state of Hawaii. So the state of Hawaii, because of its geographical position, we have had the benefit of trans-Pacific lines landing in Hawaii before they go off to the continent or other areas, just because the technology prevented along submarine cables from going from east to west. But in the last 15 years, or last several years, 15 submarine cables and 15 transpac lines have bypassed the state of Hawaii. And if you folks do business with any kind of submarine cables or transpac lines, these things don't last forever. These have short lives. And the scary part of the last 15 systems bypassing the state of Hawaii make me realize even more how vulnerable the state of Hawaii is. And coming out of COVID, the fact that we realize that remote work, telehealth, online learning is not just a temporary thing, but it has become a reality in many of our industry, many of our lives, make us even more dedicated and or even more inspired to do better. So when I became the lieutenant governor, one of the things that I asked the governor to do is take on the initiative to expand broadband services to our communities. And I knew he would give it to me because broadband is something, other than the people in this room, is something that when you talk to people, their eyes glaze over and they have no idea what broadband is, and the only thing that they know about broadband is the fact that they have an iPhone and you can search things on iPhone, and broadband and connectivity is so much more complex than what you see. And the fact that they were allowed to give me this opportunity to head up the broadband initiative is, for me, it's a dream because it's transformative and it's a game changer for many of our citizens and many of our young people who has an opportunity, imagine the opportunity to be able to live on the island of Kauai and work in Singapore, or have surgery on Maui with telehealth capability of the Mayo Clinic, or have different type of online access to have different type of learning, different type of research, and these are transformative things that our residents never dreamt of before, and the idea of heading this initiative up is something that I take very seriously. Yeah, thank you. The other thing that is important is that the state of Hawaii is uniquely positioned. If we want to think bigger than what it is, we are uniquely positioned in a state where we have no dominant ethnic group, no dominant race, and it is really the centerpiece of where people gather. Why else would you folks be gathering here in Waikiki to share ideas, to share your mana'o with each other? It is Hawaii, and this is a centerpiece of gathering place where you exchange ideas. The other thing is because of our geographical location, it is important in the world's defense system. Whether in the PACOM or whether there's conflict, Hawaii is uniquely positioned. And because of that, it's even more important that we do whatever we can to increase our capabilities, increase our connectivity, not just for our state, for the nation and for the world as well. I want to thank a few people in the audience. I want to thank Brian Moon and the Pacific Telecommunication Council. You folks have done such a great job in putting this together to gather a significant number of people from not just around the nation, but from around the world, to exchange ideas, to be able to share information that you may not know, or make connections that you would like to make. Take advantage of that, because you have gathered thousands of people in this single area to gather so many opportunities and share information with each other. So take great opportunities in that. I also want to recognize, I don't know if they're in the room, the University of Hawaii president, David Lasner. He was the former PTC president. David, are you in the room? I can't see. And Garrett Yoshimi of the university. Some of the initiatives that we are undertaking cannot happen without the important work of our research institution, and that holds true in many of the states and many around the nation as well. And if it wasn't for our research institution at the University of Hawaii, some of the research and some of the undertaking that we are aggressively trying to do would not be a reality. I want to just end here with a few comments. In addition to broadband, the second initiative that I'm taking up is early education. In the state of Hawaii, 50% of our preschoolers don't have an opportunity to go to preschool because it's not affordable for them or it is not accessible. The effort to increase access to our preschoolers, the effort to increase broadband access, those two initiatives are intermingled and those things are compatible because this is transformative changes that we can make for generations to come. So I want to thank you for participating in this year's conference. Thank you for being here. And just enjoy each other and just exchange ideas. The more you exchange ideas, the more that we can benefit from it. So aloha and mahalo.